Kilmar Abrego Garcia, an undocumented immigrant who was here, he's been over here for, I don't know, 15 years. He's married to a woman who's a U.S. citizen. They have 3 kids. One of them is special needs. He was abducted in March by ICE, and on March 15th, he was part of the 3 plane loads of young men who were flown to CICOT prison in El Salvador, where he remained until the Trump administration was forced to return him to the United States a couple of weeks ago. I'll come back to that in a moment. Throughout that whole period of time, once he reporting on him and reporting on his circumstances started gaining a lot of notoriety, people on the right, Donald Trump, Fox News, the whole MAGA shitbrain network of MAGA chuds online said he's a wife beater, he's a human trafficker, he's a drug smuggler, he's a member of MS-13. That was the big one. Donald Trump with the photo, with the photoshopped MS-13 on his knuckles. 2 things that are factually correct. Kilmar Abrego Garcia has never been convicted of a crime in the United States. No felonies here. He has similarly never been convicted of a crime in El Salvador, where they shipped him, where he is from. Previously, a federal judge had issued an order to the federal government: you are not to deport him to El Salvador if you deport him at all, because it's not safe for him there. Trump said he was one of the worst, he was a criminal, he's a felon, yada, yada, yada. When, in the face of various court orders, when the Trump administration brought him back to the United States, they immediately indicted him on 2 felony counts related to human trafficking. They indicted him on 1 count of human trafficking and 1 count of conspiring to engage in human trafficking. In order to, and that was the evidence for those things. There were 6 or 7 cooperating witnesses, who all of whom appeared to be actual gang members, who were offering anonymous information to the government about Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And at that point, Kilmar Abrego Garcia had become a symbol. You know, he had become a political rallying cry against the deportation programs of the Trump administration. And when I did a TikTok about the indictment, stick with me on this one, I'm coming around to a point here in a minute. The indictment said that he had made over 100 human trafficking trips within the United States. They charged him with 1. The 1 incident they charged him with was when he had been pulled over by Tennessee state troopers driving a Chevy Suburban with 8 or 9 other young Hispanic men in the vehicle with him, none of whom had identification. So the Tennessee state troopers were not able to confirm their identities or their immigration status. So the government can't even prove that those men were here in the United States illegally. And they let him go without a citation, without a ticket, without arresting him, without detaining anybody in that vehicle. It's Tennessee state troopers. That's the only crime that he's charged with. The indictment said that he was a gang member, MS-13. There's no criminal charge for that. The indictment said that he had been illegally smuggling illegal drugs within the United States. There's no criminal charge for that. The indictment said that he had sought and obtained nude photos and videos of a minor. There's no charge for that in the indictment. So this propaganda, he became a tool of propaganda on the right and a rallying cry on the left. And so in order to sustain the criminal charges against him for these 2 trafficking charges, the government has a star witness. Hang on. The government's star witness offering evidence against Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who again has never been convicted of a crime or a felony in the United States or in El Salvador, he is not a criminal. The government's star witnesses, Jose Ramon Hernandez Reyes, a 3-time felon, convicted felon in the United States, convicted on charges of human trafficking in the United States, a 3-time convicted felon to serve as a witness against a man who has never been convicted of a crime in the United States or El Salvador. "It's wild to me," said Lisa Sherman Luna, executive director at the Tennessee Immigrant Refugee Rights Coalition. It's just further evidence of how the government is using Kilmar's case to further their propaganda and prove their political point. They are releasing a 3-time convicted felon convicted on human trafficking charges to testify against a man who has never been convicted of a crime in the United States or El Salvador, and for whom they have no evidence that he did any human trafficking. They can't prove the immigration status of the people involved in the one stop that he's actually charged with. They said he's a drug dealer, no charge for that. They said he has been smuggling illegal drugs. There's no charge for that. They said that he is basically a child sex offender. There's no charge for that either. And because Donald Trump likes theater, he likes production. And he never backs down. This is the Roy Cohn playbook. This is 100% the Roy Cohn playbook. If somebody hits you, you hit them back 10 times harder. You never admit you were wrong. You never back down. You never apologize for anything. And you come up with something to dramatically escalate every situation when it looks like you are about to lose. And go back to 2016, the 2016 campaign. On Friday, October 7th, was when the Access Hollywood tape was released. And grab them by the pussy, when you're a star, they let you do anything. Everybody said that Donald Trump was dead, that his campaign was dead, and that he was going to have to withdraw. 2 days later, there was a presidential debate between he and Hillary Clinton. What did Donald Trump do? He showed up before that debate with 4 women who had accused Bill Clinton of rape and sexual misconduct 30 years earlier. Hit him back twice as hard. Changed the narrative. This time, when they were forced to bring Kilmar Abrego Garcia back to the United States, they did so and immediately indicted him on 2 federal felonies for human trafficking. And the only evidence they have in support of that is an alleged gang member who has been convicted for human trafficking felonies in the United States on 3 separate occasions. They're happy to let that guy go free in order to hit back twice as hard, never back down, never apologize, never admit you were wrong when it comes to Kilmar Abrego Garcia and how they've handled that case. It's a fucking sick joke, but human beings' lives are involved, and nobody in the Trump administration gives 2 shits about that because he's brown and from a different country.